Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Community Transit Board of Directors meeting for April 3rd, 2025. This meeting is conducted in a hybrid format, both in person and remote, and is recorded and live streamed. I'd like to take a moment to welcome Danny Julian, our new official labor representative board member. Her appointment was just confirmed. I'm glad to have you, Danny. Thanks for being here. Now I'd like to ask Rachel, our board clerk, to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Daughtry.
Present.
Councilmember Dunn.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Frizzell.
Here.
Labor Representative Julian.
Here.
Mayor Marine.
Present.
Councilmember Merrill.
Here.
Mayor Nearing.
Here, thank you.
Councilmember Peterson. Mayor Roberts.
I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Schweddy.
Present.
Thank you. Chair, we do have a quorum of board members. For our board alternates online, it looks like we have Councilmember Payne, and in the audience, we have Councilmember Gallagher, and that concludes roll.
We're going to move to public comments today. Each speaker has 3 minutes to provide comments. We start with the in-room comments. Is there any? There are actually. I have 3 that have signed up to comment. We'll start with those, and if there's any after that, then we'll ask for those from the audience. Then we'll go online. I think we have a commenter there. First person in line is Juan Cruz. Is Juan in? That's quick. Your 3 minutes are up, so just kidding. Thank you, Juan. You have 3 minutes, and thank you for coming.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
My name is Juan Cruz. I gotta adjust this thing. It's like in my face. Okay. Do I need to speak to it like? My name is Juan Cruz. I live in Arlington, Washington. I'm a Zip shuttle driver for VIA. This community transit gave VIA transportation the contract to drive in. I call it phase 2. So when I signed up 4 months ago, I was really excited about a job, right? I'm going to work close to home, Arlington. So I know the area really well. I got to know a lot of the other drivers. The first few weeks, it was like super slow. We sat in our car waiting. Are we going to have customers or not? But it slowly started picking up. I was like, all right, cool. This is what we were looking for. For the first few weeks, it was great because we weren't really doing anything. But now I started keeping track of how many people we were picking up. So I made my list. Arlington, there was 25 to 30 people, passengers, which I was like, this is really cool. You know, I'm getting to meet my neighbors. My neighbors get to know who I am. So I'm not some random driver. I'm not the Uber driver. It's the VIA guy. So everybody's like getting to know us. So Lake Stevens, same thing. But to me, it's working in Darrington was like the best thing. You build that relationship with the passengers. You know, you build that rapport with them. And it's not just Joe. No, it's my buddy Joe. So I know, like in Darrington, there's like a few guys. One particular guy that I really like. He was the reason why I even did the job. It was less money than I was used to, but at least I'm helping out the one guy that it made sense for me to drive up there, to go up there and work. I always remember the guy, his name is Steve. I was wrong with his name. That was the name on the app. It said Steve was requesting the ride. His real name is Dean. We would take Dean to the library, to the IGA, to the bank. There was days that's the only passenger we had, but it was fun to take him there. And Dean, he's deaf. He has a handicap. To me, that's the reason why we work. The reason that it made sense for me to work for VIA. And I was glad to see the program work. One of the issues we've been having is scheduling. You know, they told us every Wednesday, you get on the app, you pick a schedule when you want to work. And we would have options to work Arlington, Lake Stevens, and Darrington. That was okay initially, but now that I'm also, the other job that I have, I'm a fleet manager through VIA. One of the jobs as a fleet manager is I have to double check all the vehicles. We got all the mileage on all the vehicles that we have. And after a certain mileage, we have to get oil changes for them or get them into the service. So I've been doing that job. For that, I needed to download a different app. So I would work on the fleet manager version portion of it and also the driver app.
Hey, Juan, I need you to wrap up. You're
Okay.
past the 3 minutes.
So
Thank you.
for the fleet manager portion of it, it was 20 hours a week. One of the biggest complaints I've been having from a lot, the drivers and passengers is support. The support has been out of the country. You can't find somebody locally. So driver support. And the biggest thing is safety for the drivers too. We saw that it was approved more security for community transit, but the drivers for the Zip drivers, we have no protection at all. We're handling money like we could be robbed. So that's more safety for the drivers. I'd like to see maybe a copy of the contract that VIA got, because I got some other complaints. To me, it's more on unfair labor practices, more on how they treat the drivers. On the schedules, they tell us that we have to show up to work. We show up and the vehicles are not available. They won't let us use the vehicles. We call, we don't have anybody to call to the contact. So I'll be asking the board if they can give us at least a person to get a hold of, somebody locally to guide us to do whatever we need to do to take care of the business.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Yep. And okay, would like to have Richard, is it Cernow? Richard, come on down.
Nothing. Can't hear a thing. Good afternoon. My name is, okay. Okay. Richard Curnow. I live in Mount Vernon. I joined up with VIA also when they first started. I was very excited about the opportunity because I am a senior citizen. I've owned 4 businesses, including a commercial print shop, a recording studio, an annuity business. Done very well with all those. And then I retired. Then my wife died. And it's been a real struggle. My daughter died 3 months before my wife did. It's been a very much of a roller coaster. Then I found VIA and I thought, wow, this is a great job. I'm going to like this. I meet a lot of people. I get social interaction again. I've never been treated worse by any company that I've ever worked with, printed for, or been employed by. They let me drive all the way out to Darrington from Mount Vernon, which is quite a long trip and a very frightening road. I put my heart and soul into doing this. And one day I drove down to Arlington and my app wouldn't work. I couldn't do anything. It was about 20 degrees. I was freezing cold, couldn't get anything going. I had to wait until almost 9 o'clock to hear from somebody. And they said, well, your app doesn't work because you're fired. I said, why am I fired? Well, we can't tell you that. I have no idea what the issue is. I was continually frustrated because everybody you talk to is in the Philippines. I got nothing against Philippines. My son married and brought back a Filipino whole family. But they don't have a clue what we're doing. It's very distressing to be in that situation. You have a passenger in your van, the internet stops working, you need some help, and what do? You get a note that says, fill it out and email it to us and we'll get back to you. This is ridiculous. I can't imagine you do that on the big buses. Isn't that true? You don't just tell people, you don't tell the drivers if something's going wrong in the van or in the bus to email you. That's ridiculous. So I'm just here to complain about it, not just to complain, but hoping maybe there'll be some better changes. And also, as an employee working for an employer, there's nobody to talk to. Everything is emailed, constantly emailed. You just wait and wait and wait, and you may or may not get a response. I can't imagine running a company like that. I would not have run mine that way. So that's my input for the day. Other than that, I love the buses. There's a lot of good going on with it also. I would work for it again if they would clean up some of this. You got to treat people the way you want to be treated. They are not doing that. Absolutely. Okay. And I would like to know if there is a point person that I could write a letter to, whatever, to address some of this. And I have no idea who I can do that with. Any questions?
No, thank you for your comments, Richard. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, we need Sharon Tolbert. Sharon, come on down, Sharon. We promise not to start the timer till you get up to the microphone and get started.
Perfect.
You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I decided to take a safer route and write mine down
There
so
you
I
go.
wouldn't go over. Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Sharon Talbert. I'm a resident of Edmonds and a former business owner in Everett. I drive or maybe drive still for Via Transportation. So I have some specific questions that I wanted to get answers to. So when the CT Zip driver app isn't working, we can't log in or work, which means no income. So when I say that, a lot of times you'll go and they can't get you into the van, or the van is not there, so you'll have to go to another city to get the van. Yet they've scheduled people that have to go to work, have to go to doctor's appointments and that kind of thing. So you're not able to do that because you're locked out of the van, or the van is not there, or whatever the reason might be that you can get from someone, if you get someone to talk to about the question that day. There are no backup systems or way to reach support. There's no clear notice given if a driver is removed from the platform. Communication from VIA's People Operation HR is missing and or delayed. I'm calling, one more thing. Sorry, skipping. Trying to go quick. There's no safeguards. The larger buses have had people that have actually been killed, robbed, hurt very badly. Supposedly in our vans, we're supposed to have cameras that protect us because unlike the big buses, we do have to handle cash at times. And people are well aware of that because there's a box there that they would put cash in. So that would put us at risk, kind of, like a target for some unethical people. And so a lot of times the cameras don't work and there's no one to call to say, hey, we need these cameras on for the safety of not just us, but our passengers as well. Because sometimes we have a multitude of people that we pick up, and these people are elderly, these people are people with handicap, there's minor children, that kind of thing. So these kind of safeguards are not put in place on a regular or consistent basis. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm calling on community transit and Via Transportation to improve communication, provide backup systems, and support independent contractors when technical issues or deactivations happened. Did I make it? My 3 minutes?
You
Okay,
got 23
perfect.
more seconds, Sharon.
20.
You
Thank you for listening to me.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for coming over. Appreciate it. So, okay, thank you for the signups for in-house comments. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to make public comments? That hasn't had an opportunity. Going once, going twice. All right. I think we have someone online, do we not? We have a remote commenter, Jeffrey Baldwin.
Okay, yeah, is there a way to get my video going here?
Our public commenters have audio only,
Okay, yeah,
but
so,
we can hear you.
okay. All right, so what I, yeah, what I would, yeah, so am a part of an organization that's trying to expand the community transit PTBA out to the Maltby, Cathcart, Clearview area. I grew up in the Maltby area. I had a question about PTBA annexation. I believe it's done through precinct, but I saw, is it, I saw a precinct map on the two different precinct maps on the Snohomish County website. I looking at the one that has like 5 or 6 or so precincts, or the one that has 43. That's a question that I have. And then, uh, uh, yeah, if anyone here lives in that area and is interested in helping me, you can email me at Jeffrey, spelled Jeffrey B as in boy 1040 at yahoo.com. Uh, I I sent some links to you guys with uh what I have and what we have with what we have in question. Our goal is to try to get it on to do more of this in 2027 and get it onto the 2028 ballot. Uh, I is there where am I at right now?
You have about 1 minute left, Jeffrey.
About 1 minute. I have about 1 minute left. Okay. I think that's all we have. I have a group that I'm working with a few of the employees. We intend on doing some signature drives to annex those to annex those areas in 2020 in 2028. I think that's all. I guess the other stuff is just chat, but if you could answer my question, I would appreciate that.
Okay, Jeffrey, thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else online? You can raise your hand if there's anyone online that would also like to speak. If no one else, okay, we'll close public comments then. And that leads us on to a public hearing. I'm going to, we'll now hold a public hearing for the 2025-2028 Title VI program. There have been 147 comments received so far. These comments will be packaged and provided to the board prior to the May 1st board meeting. The public hearing is now open. Each speaker that'd like to comment on the Title VI program has, just as we just had on public comments, 3 minutes to provide those comments. Is there anyone in the room that wants to comment on Title VI, the Title VI program? Anyone at all in the room wants to comment on Title VI program? Going once, going twice. Okay, is there anyone online then that you can raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment on the title 2025-2028 Title VI program? See no hands raised. Okay. All right. So we will then close the public hearing. Thank you for that. And let me see. Public hearing is now closed. All right, we're on to presentations, Employee Service Awards. CEO Elgin Fritz, it's your responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? All right. Well, excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. We have 3 anniversaries being celebrated today. So I'd like to start by asking Larry Olson to come on up. Larry Olson. Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm good. Good. Larry is celebrating 25 years with community transit. He began as a program analyst 25 years ago, and he's now a senior manager in information technology. And he is one of the most indispensable people in community transit, because I'm told that he's probably one of the only ones who actually knows how every single piece of technology works in this organization. Is that right? go that far.
Some of the older stuff. For sure.
Anyway, he's somebody who is known as friendly, collaborative, someone you can always count on. Larry is approachable. He's down to earth. He's genuine. He cares about the well-being, not only of the organization and the systems that we depend on, but the people here and the people within IT who work to keep those systems running and the people throughout the organization who depend on them to do their jobs. There's never been a time that he wouldn't stop and pause and talk, whether it's about work or IT or life. He's that kind of person. He empowers his coworkers, the people who work for him and alongside him. He's got a twin brother, I'm told, named Lonnie, and once upon a time they both worked at a bowling alley. And the patrons at the bowling alley apparently thought that Larry worked 80 hours a week because they didn't know he had a twin. And I guess you guys had some fun with that.
Yeah, well, it took me a few minutes to figure out what he was talking about.
Anyway, he's a big fan of Tina Turner, which makes me wonder what love does have to do with it. He loves playing pickleball, and outside of work, he is a rock for his family, especially his mom and his brother. Larry's been commended in various ways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times over his journey at Community Transit. And I just know from talking to his coworkers and Chaz how valued and respected he is within the IT organization. So Larry, I want to congratulate you on 25 years and thank you for your service. Certificate and a pin and a picture.
All right.
Any words of wisdom?
Well, I'll say a couple things. So actually, I started here as a temp. So I've actually been here for 26 years. They don't even allow a temp to go past 6 months now. But I was given many different projects in that 1 year, and I'm just very grateful for the opportunities that Community Transit has provided me. And it's been a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, next, could I have Scott Glassman come up and join us? Here's Scott. Congrats. Welcome. Scott is celebrating 20 years with Community Transit. He has started here 20 years ago as a designer. He is now a senior graphic designer and a member of our creative team who puts together all those amazing graphics and videos and print and campaign materials that you see telling our story inside the agency and outside the agency. One of his many strengths is his ability to view challenges through the lens of the customer, ensuring they are prioritized in the solutions he creates. He's unwavering and focused and can always be counted on to provide his expertise when needed. He leads quietly, efficiently, with others often not realizing they're being led. That's a very important skill. He's a true team player. He's a collaborator within his department and across the organization with all his internal clients. He's humble. He avoids the spotlight, so I'm sure you're having a ball right now. He's retained a wave of historical knowledge amidst a sea of often overlooked and under-cataloged information. When all else fails, the people on his team know to ask Scott because Scott knows. He's the kind of teammate every team hopes to have. He's a quiet powerhouse, always getting things done without fanfare, making an incredible impact behind the scenes. He listens more than he talks, but when he talks, everybody listens. Again, very important. Scott brings creativity and efficiency to every project, often finding smart, simple, elegant solutions. Collaborative, quick to offer help, steady presence, plus his dry wit and sense of humor keep everybody smiling. He's kind, he's creative, he's quietly brilliant. Scott knows, right? He knows. He's a fan of baseball, Star Wars, The Office, George Carlin. I hear the weather tonight's going to be dark. Poker, woodworking, and technology. His Marvel movie equivalent is Iron Man. So Tony Stark or Iron Man? Tony Stark, yeah. I'd be very, very smart and creative, and yeah. But he's not super quiet. Anyway, he's just an original member of the creative and brand team, and much like Iron Man, was an original member of the Avengers. Congratulations, Scott, on 20 years. Like to share a word?
Yep. I'm just feel very thankful and lucky to work with all these fine folks over here. So thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Sandy Stewart. Sandy. Also celebrating 20 years with community transit. Congratulations. Okay, well, welcome, Sandy, and congratulations. Sandy started as an admin assistant too, 20 years ago, and she has now become senior training coordinator, which is a critically important function within the organization. One of the things that stands out most about Sandy is her fierce commitment to the employees of this agency. She's been a true champion for their growth and success through her work in the Employee Development Division. One of the examples that highlights her dedication is the painstaking effort she put into ensuring the integrity of our training data when we updated systems from sort of an old paper-based system to the new digital learning management system. Very complex task. We're a highly regulated and training-dependent organization, so the integrity of the data and migrating between systems was really important. And she made sure that nothing was lost and that every important piece of required data remained intact. No easy chore. She has played a critical role in developing training plans, creating content, and quite literally being the voice on the bus. So if you hear next station announcements when you're riding the bus, that's Sandy. She's also played a critical role with her focus on equity and access to learning. Thanks to her efforts, every employee in this agency, including our operators, now has access to learning opportunities through that digital learning management system. It's a lasting legacy of inclusion and support. She's a strong, steady force behind the scenes, always with an eye for detail, always ensuring every employee has the tools he or she needs to learn, grow, and thrive. Time and again, Sandy's been recognized as someone who consistently puts others first, whether it's our customers, her colleagues, or new employees. Sandy ensures they have what they need, often before they even realize it. In her current role as Learning Management System Administrator, she keeps employee data and learning content up to date and running smoothly, an essential part of how we function. We pride ourselves here as being practitioners of best practice and industry standard, and her system is one of the very important ways we do that. But her contributions go far beyond titles, from administrative support to training coordinator to LMS administrator. Each role only tells part of her story. Over the years, she's worn countless hats, quietly, effectively handling whatever challenge comes her way. And she's been commended over half a dozen times in her 20 years here. So Sandy, I want to congratulate you and thank you for your service. Care to say a word?
Just a bit. I don't know who wrote that, but wow, thank you. What wasn't in there is I just started recently. Now I'm working with the HRIS tech team and I'm really excited. It's a great group of people. And here's for another, well, maybe 5. I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Under presentations, we're going to move on to employee awards, and we're right back to our
Right.
CEO, Elton Fritz. You're going to handle that?
I am going to handle that.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me make sure I got the right. Here we go.
Buddy out the door.
All our celebrants are migrating. Okay, so continuing with our theme today of recognizing employees, I wanted to report to the board and the public on our 2024 Excellence Awards. This is a tradition that we undertake every year to recognize the many contributions that are made by community transit employees on an annual basis to accomplish the things we set out to do each year. So this was that season. And so I'll just want to run through on the slides here our awardees and recognize each of them. And then we'll say a few words at the end about our CEO and board chair awardees. So this process starts in February at employee meetings, where we receive and review nominations from employees' peers and then make award determinations. And then we gather both here at our all-hands meeting and over at Hardison to recognize our awardees in a large group setting. And then we invite everybody down to Rose Hill for an annual awards luncheon. And I know that our board chair joins that, and our past two board chairs have had a chance to join us at that, and it's really a lot of fun. So today sort of puts a cap on that, and we'll just run through who our awardees are, and you'll see them on the screen as I call out their names and a little quote or some words about what their coworkers have said about them. So we start with our supervisors unit every year. Our supervisors pick two individuals to recognize, an operations supervisor and a coach operator. And this year, the supervisors unit recognized Rita Pallardo, who's an operations supervisor and one of our most beloved employees. She supports our coach operators out on the road and in the building when they're experiencing challenges. She's our employee development supervisor. For coach operator, they recognize Robert Gaines. Robert is one of the true leaders, both within our zone over there at Hardison Road, but also within ATU, and he brings just a wealth of experience to the role and is highly respected. Within the operations group, and three of our operating units recognize employees of the year, starting with transportation. Transportation department recognized Mitch Eklund as coach operator and transportation employee of the year. Mitch just goes above and beyond to take care of his employees, and that was recognized, his customers, and that was recognized this year by the leadership team of transportation. In the maintenance group, Jet Levidia, vehicle service attendant, was recognized as the vehicle maintenance employee of the year, and he's just an irrepressible force for positivity over there in the yard, and you'll hear more about him in a minute. And then within the facilities group, Courtney Engen, our facility support specialist, is really the glue that holds a lot of the work in the facilities management team together. They had a particularly heavy load last year getting ready for the big network changeover, getting all the bus flags and all the facilities out there in the field ready to support the new routes. So great work by those three employees. Moving on to our 11 excellence awardees. I'll start with Alex Arellano. He's a service ambassador and recently promoted to lead, and he's just a true leader and a true exemplifier of our ethic for taking care of our customers and ensuring a positive customer experience, and just a great role model for the ambassadors unit. Mitch Baker, coach operator instructor, one of the very best we have. He's somebody out there every day making sure that our new hires are trained and ready for the road. Francisco Bibiano, coach operator, recognized for his leadership and his presence and his collaborative nature and friendly nature as a coach operator, modeling community transit values with our customers and his coworkers. Jen Edmiston, procurement coordinator, super active and critical player. Community transit buys a lot of goods and services through our procurement unit, and we do that work with excellence and with transparency, and she's a very big part of that. Rory Graves, marketing copywriter in our communications marketing and engagement group. She may be best known last year for being the person who spearheaded the Rick Steves marketing effort and landed him and brought him in and got him engaged in our work. We see once again Jet Levidia. He's double dipping. He was an Excellence Award winner as well, recognized by his peers in the broader agency for his presence, his leadership, his collaborative nature, his friendliness, and that positive intensity that he brings to the yard. Senthil Nanjayan, he's a senior IT architect, one of those folks behind the scenes, helping make sure our IT infrastructure is working, is up to date, is advancing, innovating, and doing the things we need it to do. Kaiten Randolph, Assistant Manager in Transportation. She's one of our up-and-coming leaders over in the Transportation Department, and it's just a really terrific presence and somebody who's super popular with her colleagues and effective. She was a graduate last year of the Washington State Transit Association Next Leaders program, and so she's somebody who we just love watching her career arc. Diane Sasse, she's a schedule analyst over in planning and a former coach operator. Diane, as we were getting ready to implement the 2024 network, she actually went out and drove every single route multiple times to make sure that the schedules were correct and that the timing of the integration of all of our routes was working properly. Just truly dedicated to the quality of the customer experience. Barb Taylor, she's in security services, former member of our transit police unit. She's responsible for training up all of our transit security officers, and she's done a tremendous job of that. And finally, Greg Wagner, sales and distribution specialist. He's holding it down every day at the ride store, greeting and helping process all those new customers who've been flooding into the system since last fall. So congratulations to those 11 awardees. We have 2 final awardees we wanted to flag, CEO and Board Chair Award, as is our practice. So I'll turn to former Chair Merrill to talk a little bit about our 2024 Board Chair Awardee.
Okay. I had the great pleasure of presenting the 2024 Chairs Award at the Employee Banquet. And as you know, this award is reserved for someone who does more than just get the job done. It goes to someone who elevates the standard for all of us. And this year, the award was presented to mechanic Quentin Kuntz. Quentin joined Community Transit in 2018 as an apprentice mechanic, and he was noted early as something special, bringing a mix of curiosity, intelligence, generosity, and a sense of humor that just simply lights up the room. And with that determination and a lot of hard work, Quentin has worked his way up now to become a journey mechanic. Quentin performs the midlife overhauls on the 18700 BRTs, some of our most important and longest traveled coaches. And that's important work of replacing and rebuilding the engines and the transmissions and the other components that extend the life of our fleet. But the special sauce, or what he's known for in addition to that, his contribution is his drive to learn and try new things, his enthusiasm, and a positive attitude that builds a camaraderie and fosters a contagious collaborative spirit affecting everyone around him. So what do his colleagues say about him? One colleague calls him an inquisitive innovator. Another calls him fearless when facing challenges and finding solutions. And then finally, the one that says that Quentin is the ultimate trailblazer. The sky is not a limit. It's just the starting line. So we are indeed fortunate to have Quinlan in our community, and it was great. And I really enjoyed presenting the award to him. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, former Chair Merrill, and very well said. And our final awardee this year, the CEO award recipient, was Risa Gamble. And I'm sorry Risa couldn't be here today because she is truly special. She's been a coach operator, and she's just become a pillar of support within the organization, always available to listen and to help and create a safe environment for the team. She's dedicated in particular to supporting operators who have faced assaults or adverse encounters on the job. And her role and her dedication there is simply unmatched, providing both immediate and ongoing support to employees who've had negative experiences like that, but also elevating those stories and those issues to management. She's worked very closely with Roland and his team to address concerns and ensure timely support to those who are in need, to make sure that we're taking proper care of employees from the moment of an incident back to the base and ultimately back home as they recover and cope with that kind of experience. She's been proactive, very focused on fostering a culture of safety and empathy and supporting employees across the organization, not just coach operators. Her commitment has made a lasting positive impact. She has really helped change the culture within operations and model our core values. Her teammates describe her as dedicated and compassionate, and that probably isn't adequate to really characterize how deeply committed she is to taking care of her fellow employees. So we appreciate her dedication to the agency and her coworkers and the community we serve more broadly, and I'm grateful for her work. So, Mr. Chair, that concludes our review of last year's awardees, and that concludes my report.
Just in case anyone's watching online, let's give them a round of applause. Shall we do that?
Sure.
We appreciate them so much, and thank you for your report and the shout outs. Still under presentations, 2024 year-end performance report. Olivia Woods, I think I saw her back there hiding in the back. There you are. Come on down.
Your choice.
Hello.
There you are.
Okay, so I'm Olivia Woods and I'm from our research and analytics team, and I'm going to walk us through the 2024 system boardings report or performance report, excuse me. So we'll start off with our overall system, which is all of our services combined. So we have another year of pretty big growth, another 17% increase in 2024 compared to the previous year. So that's an extra 1.2 million rides that we provided, which is pretty big. So you can see there, we're up from 7.2 last year to 8.4 million rides in 2024. 51% of those were on our regular bus service and 42% were on our Swift service. Our van pool accounted for 5% of our rides, DART 2%, and microtransit 1%. And so an average weekday last year was about 26,000 rides every single weekday, which was 3,000 more provided every weekday in 2023. Saturday was about 15,000 rides and Sunday 12,000, both of which were up 3,000 rides from the previous year. This is me. Just on. What's going? Okay. All right. Okay. So this is our system boardings goal that we set. So all the way back in like January of 2023, we set a pretty hefty goal to have a 30% increase over 2022 by the end of 24. And we actually blew that out of the water at about 44% increase. So good news there. In 2024 alone, we got an additional 300,000 boardings on bus than we thought we would, or than we were shooting for, I guess, and an extra 500,000 on our Swift service. And Vanpool was about right where we were headed. So, okay, next up, we're going to look at each of our services individually. We have fixed route, which is our bus and Swift combined. So we saw an 18% increase in our boardings there. So we ended at 7.8 million rides on our fixed route service. Next, this is our estimated number of unique customers on our service in a week. And we saw a 17% increase, an additional 5,000 compared to the previous year. So about 35,000 unique riders on our system in a week. Here we have boardings per revenue hour. This is our measure of productivity. We saw a slight increase of 2%, up to 19.6 boardings per revenue hour. Our on-time performance was pretty similar to the previous year. So we departed our stops on time 82.4% of the time on time. Lastly, here we have our completed trips. So out of everything we intended to operate, we actually operated 99.9% of all of those trips. So that's a pretty high bar to continue to try to beat next year. This is our regional comparison. So all those transit agencies you see listed are within the Washington region, and we just try to see how our changes every year are comparing to the regional average. So for the region, we saw an average of 14% increase in boardings, and community transit was slightly higher than that at 18% increase. You'll see King County right below us there, right at that average at 14%, and Everett Transit at the top showing the most year-over-year growth. Okay, lastly for fixed route, this is our year-over-year trend line chart. And I always just love looking at it because if you look at our years on the right-hand side, we see our lowest year, 2020. That was the onset of the pandemic. And then all the numbers stacked on top of that are sequentially growing up until that dark blue line of 2024, just showing steady, constant growth since that pandemic hit us back then. So 2024 was no different. We continued to see that recovery or increase in ridership. And overall, in 2024, we provided 151,000 rides every single week of the year. That was about 22,000 more each week than the previous year. So pretty big increases. Okay, switching gear to our van pool service. We saw very similar performance in van pool in 2024 as we did in 2023. So we ended with about 381,000 boardings on that service. For our customers, this is the total number of unique customers that use the service for the entire year. We had a small decrease here, ended at about 1,925 unique customers using that service, only down 50. Boardings per revenue hour had a decrease of 9%, so about 4.5 boardings for each revenue hour of that service. We had pretty similar number of groups operating last year. So 283 at the max were active at the same time during 2024. And then our last metric we kind of track here is the days operated per group per month. We saw this, plummet when we were working from home. So we've been kind of watching it and seeing it rebuild. So a little bit of an uptick here to 16. Pre-pandemic, we were at about 19 and a half days for each group. Here's our regional comparison for Vanpool. The region saw a 12% increase. Community transit is lower than that at our 0%. A couple of transit agencies did have a decrease in their boardings year-over-year trend. However, Link Transit and King County Metro continue to increase that service. Okay, switching to our DART service. Here we saw a 25% increase in boardings and provided 151,000 rides in 2024. Saw a total of 2,833 unique customers using the service in 2024. That's an increase of 21%. Boardings per revenue hour remained similar at 1.8 boardings per revenue hour. Here is our yearly trend chart showing that the increase we started to see in 2023 has continued throughout 2024. So there was a point between 21 and 22 where we kind of leveled off, and that has stopped, and it continues to grow here. So for an average week in 2024, we were at about 2,950 rides each week. That was about 500 higher than the previous year. All right, our last product here is our Zip Shuttle. And we saw a pretty large percent increase here of 72%, provided about an extra 30,000 rides in 2024. So 67,000 rides were provided on our Zip Shuttle service. The total number of unique customers that rode in 2024 was 2,093, an increase of 35%. Boardings per revenue hour also increased, ended at 3.1. Our wait time saw an increase of 5%. So on average, customers had to wait an additional 48 seconds in 2024 to get their ride compared to the previous year. And our last metric is shared trips. In 2024, we saw about 12% of our trips were shared between customers that were booking independently. And it's important to note that we did not start providing shared trips until July of 23. So that was kind of a new feature that we were seeing take off. Our last trend chart here, just showing that Zip Shuttle continues to provide more and more boardings throughout the year. In 2024, we had about 1,300 rides provided every single week. So up pretty substantial from the previous year. So in summary, we exceeded the 2024 boardings goal. We continued growth in boardings and customers for all of our services except for Vanpool, and Vanpool maintained a very similar performance as the previous year. And then I wanted to leave with a little sneak peek of our 2025 boardings goal of 10 million rides. So we'll be checking back in and hopefully having some good news on this goal next year. And with that, thank you for your time.
Very good. Are there any questions from board members for Olivia?
I have one. Who sets the goals? I don't believe you.
I asked the experts for
Yeah,
for a
he's-
stretch goal and they give us recommendations.
He's the CEO. He's not setting that goal.
Hey.
Any other questions? Tom?
Yeah, this is only tangential to your report, but thank you very much for that. I'm reaching back to one of our previous board meetings, and it's when we were ordering new van pools, and I thought that part of the argument was we had some latent demand that we weren't able to meet, and so we were trying to increase that, and yet it's flat. The ridership is flat. Could we speak to that a little bit?
I can say I don't think we've gotten our new Vanpool vehicles
Right.
yet.
I will say we expect to see those numbers go up for 2025 because
Okay.
of what you just mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And if I may indulge,
may.
I want to just shout out Roland in particular. You saw the dip on DART, and there was a period there where we were having some trouble with customer satisfaction, with on-time performance, with growth in ridership. And Roland and Jim and the contracted services team committed a significant amount of their personal time to working with the contractor to improve performance
Good job.
of that service. And so you're seeing the results of that work in the chart. So shout out to Roland and his team, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Olivia.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Were there any other questions? Were there? Okay. Okay, we're on to closing presentations and on to the CEO report. CEO Elton Fritz. you're
Okay,
on.
I'm going to wear out my voice today. Well, thank you for the last couple of presentations and joining in the recognition of our anniversary celebrants and our 2024 awardees. It is always important to celebrate, and it is also always important to recognize that life isn't always happy and celebratory. We do have bad news on occasion and sorrow that we need to process. And so I begin today by letting the board know that we did lose a coach operator who passed away suddenly last week at home. And Curtis Wright was his name, and he was a 23-year veteran and a resident of Arlington. Very well-liked and popular member of our community. Drove the 271 and was well-known to his customers. We honored Curtis last week in a number of ways. First and foremost, by parking his million-miler bus with the decal and his name out front of the Hardison Operations Center and creating a space there for folks to pay tribute to him and remember him and respect his contributions to community transit. So again, want to thank Roland and the employee engagement team for being there last week to recognize Curtis and to support our employees as they processed their grief. We also held a ceremony to remember coach operator Scott Ryan on the 5th anniversary of his passing from COVID-19. He was the first bus driver in the country to pass from COVID-19 in 2020. And fortunately, the only community transit driver. But we had a nice ceremony. We collaborated with Danny and her team and Roland and the transportation team. Invited some of Scott's friends and family to participate to try to keep his memory alive. And if you recall, we planted a tree in his honor at the new operations center in that outdoor space, and it's blooming beautifully and thriving. So thank you again, Danny and Roland for that work. So, you know, between the two, it was a bit of a heavy week last week, and I just wanted to share that with the board. Moving on to agency activities and my activities. I've been on the road here the last week and a half. I attended the APTA CEO seminar in San Antonio, Texas, weekend before last. annual opportunity to meet with the agency general managers and talk about what's going on in the industry and policy issues, the changes and signals that we're seeing from the nation's capital, and talk as an industry about how to handle that, adjust to that, learn. It was a great weekend of learning, and we got to hear from the senior career professional at Federal Transit Administration about how they're approaching administering their grant programs. So it was a helpful time. Then went to Washington, D.C., and I'll talk more about that in a minute. We've also had folks out and about in the community. Last week was the City of Everett's State of the City address, and Deb and Jamyang and Matthew and a couple others were there, Melissa. And later tonight, we're going down to Seattle for the annual Women in Transit Seminar Gala event, where we'll be recognizing the contributions of women across the industry here in Washington State. On the DC trip, I went back last Tuesday, had an opportunity to meet with three of our House members, Representatives Larson, Del Bene, and Schreier, as well as the staffs in Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell's offices, and then was able to spend a fair amount of time over at Federal Transit Administration meeting with the folks who lead our programs, the CIG program and the bus program in particular. So, just trying to gather information, understand how they're going to proceed, whether they're going to proceed. And I would say that on the whole, it was a positive trip. The FTA staff are planning to move forward with the CIG program. I was encouraged to move forward with the Gold Line project, to move into Project Development Authority when we're ready to, and we will be ready to later this year. And I see Melissa nodding back there. On the Bus and Bus Facilities program, which had been aligned with the Lono program, FTA did announce that they are going to follow the law and put out a notice of funding opportunity for that in April. They will probably broaden the parameters and encourage grantees to look broadly at fuel type and propulsion type. So we were advised to read that guidance closely when it comes out. I think the encouraging thing there is that the Congress, in enacting a continuing resolution for the full year, did fully fund the transit programs, and FTA is signaling that they are going to push that money through the system. So feeling a little better about maintaining our federal funding partnership in the year ahead. The Senate offices were bullish. All the offices encouraged us to resubmit our earmarks that were not awarded in the FY25 process because of the continuing resolution. So Deb and Matthew and Jamyang are doing that work right now to re-up those requests. So we had replacement bus earmarks, we had an earmark for Gold Line design, and we had an earmark for Green Line extension as well. So we'll be working on those, and they seem to be welcome. You're probably all reading in the news minute by minute about the tariffs that have been implemented. Staff had already initiated an analysis of how that might affect our procurement of goods and services, our replacement of buses and vehicles. I don't have a lot to report yet. I can with some confidence say that it will affect our costs. We did meet with one of our bus OEMs, asked the question, and we're assured that to the extent that tariffs affect the prices of bus, those prices will be passed along to us. So we're crunching those numbers and making sure that we're incorporating that into our thinking as we go forward. There's two bus manufacturers in the country, as you know, that are Buy America certified. I guess three if you count BYD, but they're quite a bit smaller. Those products are sourced internationally, much like our friends across the street source components for their aircraft internationally. So it's going to be something we're going to have to watch. At the state level, it's budget season. I'm sure you're all following that as well. As things stand right now, the House and Senate have both passed their budget proposals for transportation. They are different in terms of how they fund transportation and how they fund the various grant programs. I will say, though, with some optimism that our funding allocations in Move Ahead Washington and Connecting Washington are fully funded in both the House and the Senate budgets. So that's positive. We'll have to see how the revenue conversation plays out here over the next couple of weeks. But I feel like we're well positioned. Senator Elias also included in the Senate bill an earmark for some funding to help us continue our research and development and our side-by-side pilot program with our hydrogen fuel cell bus. So that's positive because we have less confidence about being able to leverage grants out of the feds over the next couple of years for that work. Switching gears at the regional level, you've probably also heard that Sound Transit selected Dow Constantine as its next CEO. I've reached out to congratulate him and looking forward to working with him to advance the work of both agencies. Couple of CT specific updates. You may have seen that the Ride Store has started opening on Sundays now. So congratulations to Molly and her team. They had their first day open this past Sunday, and they had 67 walk-in customers that day. I think there was a Mariners game and a Kraken game and a lot of activity at Linwood that afternoon. So I think that's going to be a positive change, and we're happy to see that. On the SWIFT program, two things of note. One, we just hit the first anniversary of the SWIFT Orange Line since opening March 30th. So congratulations to everybody again. We carried over 800,000 trips, and you saw those numbers embedded in Olivia's report a few minutes ago, including a pretty big jump in ridership after light rail opened last fall. The other update there is that we've completed, we're at substantial completion of our Blue Line station retrofit program. So you may recall that program is updating the signage, the video signage, the braille panels, the seating and the panels and the lighting in all of our Swift Blue Line stations. We have new TVMs in those stations, and we have also installed security cameras in a lot of those stations that will now enable remote monitoring from the Security and Operations Center. So big accomplishment there, and shout out to Melissa and Christopher and their teams. On the zero emission aforementioned side-by-side pilot project, I'm happy to report that our hydrogen fuel cell vehicle is back on the road. We had some issues to work out with our fueling vendor and the fueling system. And so now it's out there in simulated revenue service, mimicking routes, but not carrying passengers yet. So we're looking forward to getting that fully broken in with enough miles to be able to put it into revenue service and start carrying passengers. Our battery electric bus is now in full revenue service with the March 29th service change. So it'll be operating throughout South County, and you'll see it out there. Quick update, you're aware of the transit operator barrier door project that was funded in last year's budget. We advertised for vendors to do that work earlier this year. We received 6 proposals, which is fantastic. And we're on track to bring an action item to the April Strategic Alignment Committee and the May board meeting on that project. On the marketing front, I talked earlier about Rory and the Rick Steves campaign last year. We've got a fun new one up for this year. They talked somehow Ken Jennings of Jeopardy fame into doing a series of videos for us to talk with our community and our customers about the importance of transit, the history of transit, and the role it plays in the community. So you'll see that rolling out here next month. We had 2 operators reach important milestones in terms of safe driving, and we recognized them last month. Chris Facey reached 1 million miles of safe driving, and Peter Mikett, who you've heard from frequently here in the boardroom, reached 2 million miles of safe driving. So we held ceremonies for them over at Hardison last month, and that was a lot of fun. You know, you think about how many miles that is to drive without an incident, without a safety issue. It really speaks to the quality and the commitment of the work being done there. And last but not least, we celebrated Transit Appreciation Day in March, recognizing our employees. It was a great opportunity to celebrate with our national and state peers, recognizing the work that our folks do every day to keep the public moving. So with that, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
You want a cough drop? So just kidding. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're on to committee reports. And first of all, we have the executive committee. The executive committee met on March 20th. Mayor Frizzell, Councilmember Daughtry, Councilmember Merrill and I attended. An executive session was held for labor negotiations update. The CEO report, as was just shared, was also provided, and our next committee meeting is scheduled for April 17th at 11:30 a.m. And on to the Finance, Performance, and Oversight Committee. Mayor Frizzell.
Yes, the Finance, Performance, and Oversight Committee did not meet on April 3rd. They met on Thursday, March 20th, 2025 in a Zoom format. Board members, Councilmember Kim Daughtry, Mayor John Naring, and I attended. We have reviewed and recommend one item to the consent agenda. It is approval of the January 2025 monthly expenses and payroll vouchers, and they will be items B through F on the consent agenda following these reports. Action items, we reviewed two items. Resolution number 5-25, allowing a biennial budget. The committee reviewed detailed report and is in full support of this item. And also an action item, awarding of an RFP 2025-042 Microsoft Enterprise Software Licensing Agreement. We reviewed a number of reports, the proposed administrative salary plan, changes for top 2 salary bands, Verily Estes, Senior Manager, Employee Engagement, and Annette Hoffer from Logic Compensation Group presented the proposed administrative salary plan changes for the top 2 employee bands. The 2025 budget amendment, expected to go to the board in May, would include the revised administrative salary plan. We also reviewed quarter 4 2024 performance report. Olivia Woods, Manager of Research and Analytics, presented the report, and the same presentation was provided earlier in today's meeting. Quarter 4 2024 financial report was presented by Nathan Woods, Director of Finance. Each quarter, Community Transit produces an updated, unaudited financial report, and a copy of that report is in our packets today. We also reviewed the sales tax report for February 2025. In February, Community Transit collected approximately $19.7 million in sales tax revenue, approximately $670,000 less than budgeted. Item number 5 that we had a report on was our diesel fuel update. The average cost to date through February 2025 was $2.89 per gallon, while the average cost per gallon budgeted for 2025 was $4. So if you do that math, it results in a favorable variance of $1.11 per gallon year to date through February. The next Finance, Performance, and Oversight Committee is scheduled for 2:00 on Thursday, April 17th.
Thank you, Mayor Frizzell. That's a lot of work. Appreciate that.
Could I get a cough drop?
Yeah, you can have a cough drop too. Just a second. Got one here for you. Yeah, chocolates.
Oh, okay, chocolate.
Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee, Councilmember Merrill.
Yeah, after that one, I feel like we've been slacking.
Yeah.
The Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee met over Zoom on March 19th. Meeting was attended by Councilmember Dunn, Mayor Marine, Councilmember Schweddy, and myself. The committee received one informational update regarding the contracted commuter services integration. This is the blending of TransDev directly into operated service, which will take place in a phased approach. The next meeting for the Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, April 16th at 2 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Merrill. We appreciate that. Okay, on to consent items. Is there anyone who'd like to remove an item from the consent agenda today? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as published here.
I will move.
Second.
So I think it was moved by Mayor Marine and seconded by Councilmember Merrill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda passes unanimously. All right, on to action items. Approve resolution number 05-25 allowing a biennial budget. Sarah Gillis is going to come down and help us with that. Thank you, Sarah.
Do I need to turn this on? All right.
You're good.
Great. Well, hello and good morning. My name is Sarah. I'm one of the analysts in the finance department here, and I'm here today to ask for approval on a resolution to move us to biennial budgeting. So a little bit of background on this. We have had resolution 22-98 defining our budget process for quite some time now. This requires an annual budget for each fiscal year. What we would like to do and what we're proposing is resolution 525 to supersede that and allow for a biennial budget process. Biennial budgets are a fairly common practice in a lot of government agencies, and they have some very important benefits, including allowing for efficiency and long-term strategic thinking. Right. I am sorry, I'm not used to this thing. Thank you. All right, so we have been researching this transition for some time and talking to different people locally who use biennial budgets. We've presented our recommendation to transition to biennial to the Finance Performance and Oversight Committee in February, and that was shared with the board in March. Went back to the committee in late March with this resolution, and today we're here to ask for your approval. So this resolution allows the CEO to present a biennial budget while retaining the option to do an annual budget if we should need to do so. All right, so we're recommending that the Board of Directors adopt the resolution 5-25 to supersede resolution 2298. This changes the frequency for which Community Transit presents the budget to the Board of Directors and allows for a biennial budget.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there questions?
Yeah,
Mayor Marine?
I have one.
Okay, Mayor Marine's first.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, our city just went to a biennial budget. I recommend it because I won't have to work with a budget this year. I get a year off. I think that is well worth it as well. But one of the things we noticed is it really forces you to look further,
Yes.
right? If we had only done a 2025 budget last year, we wouldn't have known the impacts of 26 as readily. So I think it's good for that reason. It was interesting. We had to approve the resolution and go forward in an even year because it had to be, there's certain years but anyway, I'm sure you guys are on top of that, of when you can start it and when you can't, but I highly recommend it.
And I'll just, for PTBAs, we are much less regulated than you are for counties and cities. We can start anytime with this. So we do plan to start with the 2026, 2027 biennium.
So if we start running buses, can we be less regulated? That would be great.
I don't think that's how that works, Mayor Marine.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Daughtry.
So you said we're going to have a biennial budget with 2 years and then, but we could do an annual budget if we deemed it necessary.
Yes.
Who makes that determination? Do we have to come back to the board to say we're doing an annual budget or that are you going to have another resolution to do that? Or is it just
No.
done across the board?
The way the resolution is written, it would allow for us to make that determination at the leadership level. What we are planning to do with our biennial process, because there are a few different ways you can do that. We're actually going to be doing 2 separate budgets at once. So it makes that decision much easier to implement if we are ever in a situation where we need to just do one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor Naring, I think had his hand up first.
Yeah, similar to Mayor Marine, I would highly recommend it. We went to this a few years ago. I think it's worked really well. Another thing, I'm sure you guys will manage this, however, you can do an off year kind of skim through or whatever, just brief the board maybe at a meeting on on how we're tracking, which might be helpful. But yeah, it sounds like a great idea.
And we do plan to do an off-year amendment, or if there's no need for an amendment, at least a look. Yeah.
Mayor Fussell.
And that's exactly what I was going to bring up, is that doesn't mean that we don't look at it. It means
Exactly.
that we continue to look at it. And then we have a mid-year or end of the year budget amendment for things that come up, because a budget doesn't say you're stuck with what you decided on for 2 years, but it's
Yep.
more of a roadmap. And sometimes we have to make some other decisions or assumptions come through differently. So it doesn't mean that we're stuck in the same lane for 2 years. We could
Yep.
switch lanes a little bit and make those amendments as needed.
All right. Other questions? Come down the dais.
Chair,
Yes.
I had a question.
Oh, in cyberspace.
Yes.
Oh, I was looking up and down the dais. Councilmember Dunn, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm, because when we switched to biennial budgeting, we found out we needed different software for our budgeting software. So just wanted to flag that to make sure you have the appropriate software for accounting and budgeting.
Yes, and that's an important thing to bring up. Our financial system is one of the reasons that we decided to go forth with the single year, 2 single years at once model. Our budget system is very flexible. We actually have that built and ready to go for biennial, but there are some restrictions there with what we can do.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Dunn. Sarah, I'm just a little unclear. So are you going to have a budget amendment each year or
We're going to open the opportunity
okay.
for an amendment each
Yeah.
year.
So if you don't need it, you won't.
If we
you
don't
won't
need
do
it, we won't do it.
Okay.
But we are going to look.
Okay.
We're going to reforecast. We're going to ask our departments to tell us if they
How we
have
doing?
new information, and we'll come to you if we need to.
Okay. All right. I think that's all of our questions. The CEO has a question.
Well, it's a comment to add on to that. One, we're not going to be changing any of our reporting practices and procedures, so we'll continue to report quarterly and do an annual financial report. And we will reforecast. We're very cognizant of the fact that we don't exist in a static state. So if sales tax is changing, if economic conditions are changing, if the price of fuel is changing, those are things we'll be monitoring constantly. And if we see big variances, then we would be coming back and working with the board to address those.
Okay, good.
You like a motion?
I would like a motion.
All right. I'll move the Board of Directors adopt resolution number 525, superseding resolution number 2298, and changing the frequency for which Community Transit presents the budget to the Board of Directors, allowing a biennial budget.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mayor Marine and seconded by Mayor Fussell. Mayor Marine is maker of the motion. Everything you want to speak to on it here? All right. Any other comments, questions that haven't been raised about that? All right. All right then. All those in favor of moving resolution number 05-25 forward to allow a biennial budget, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? I think it passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, on to award RFP 2025-042 Microsoft Enterprise Software License Agreement. And Doughty, and come on down. Hello there. Thank you for coming.
Hello. I am Ann Dowdy with the IT department. I'm here today to talk to you about the Microsoft Enterprise contract renewal that is coming up. So we're migrating from, thank you. Community Transit maintains a Microsoft Enterprise Software License Agreement to meet all of our Microsoft software needs across the entire agency. And our existing contract expires on April 30th, 2025. So at this point, it's necessary for us to enter into a new agreement to maintain our existing licensing and obtain new licensing as technology requirements and staff numbers increase. IT and procurement staff explored a variety of procurement options throughout this process. Yeah, okay. So we are undergoing a bunch of expanded technology needs, which I'm sure nobody would be surprised about. So we're in the process of migrating from on-premise file storage to SharePoint and OneDrive. This enables sharing of documents and collaboration spaces and data access from a variety of locations. We're also migrating to a Microsoft Teams-based telephone system in 2025. This requires additional Teams-based software licensing for each employee. Over the next 2 years, we expect 200 additional employees due to the transition of contracted services to the agency, as well as projected personnel growth. So this contract does account for that as well. And also, as we migrate from on-premise file storage to SharePoint and OneDrive, we intend to implement automated document retention, which is also built into this contract. The estimated price for this purchase is $2,056,473 for the 3-year term. This equates to an average annual contract cost of $685,491. This amount includes a 5% total contract contingency, as costs may vary based on the license quantity that's in use at the date of the contract execution, as well as the actual dates that software license increases are executed for each calendar year of the contract. Estimated costs also include upgrading to the Microsoft tier of licensing that includes automated document retention. However, prior to this purchase, a feasibility study will be conducted to ensure that this solution aligns with community transit records retention goals and to evaluate if other commercially available solutions exist that better meet our needs. So our recommendation is that the Board of Directors authorizes the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and award the purchase of Microsoft Enterprise software licenses using Washington DES contract number 14922 from Software House International for a not to exceed amount of $2,056,472.84, including tax, for a 3-year contract.
All right, Ann, thank you. Are there questions from board members? Mayor Marine?
Yeah, so we're currently with a Microsoft contract. We're adding the phone system as well as the SharePoint and so forth. So and I assume the last one was also a 3-year contract. What's a comparable for getting that extra stuff and I'm assuming it always makes it a little bit easier, right? As a technology changes. Was our contract significantly more or what?
So no, and we're also offsetting costs because our old telephone system is being, it's end of life in July, which is why it has to be replaced. So we are offboarding those costs, but taking on additional Teams licensing through this contract. But the benefit to it is it leverages our investment in other Microsoft technologies. So there's some ebb and flow in costs. So it's hard to compare exactly apples to apples as far as that goes. But some of the technologies have been introduced a little bit through the years, but we just are making a much more leveraged investment beginning this year in 2025, which is when the new contract begins. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious as if we were saving money and with our new technology, because it's different, right? It isn't apples to oranges, or it is apples to oranges, but it's always nice if we could save a little as well.
So we aren't, besides the telephone system, we're adding technologies. So that costs money. So we're not offsetting costs by removing something else and adding something new. We're providing technologies that we've heard from our employees are vital needs that they have to be able to collaborate across our agency that they don't have right now. It was one of our #1 things that we heard in our employee engagement survey was that they're lacking the tools they need to do their job today. So this contract will address the addition of those tools.
And I'm hoping your desk phones work back. I still can't figure out my desk phone at City Hall. Like you got to put in a password in your I'm like, I'll just use my cell phone.
So
It's so cheap.
the new telephone system, you actually don't need a telephone. You don't need a telephone to use it. It's completely a
computer.
mobile solution. You can use your computer, you can use your cell phone. It's actually pretty cool. So we do have a few people that are holdouts that say they need a phone because they're used to having it on their desk. But we imagine that, well, we're going to try to talk them out of it. But most people, from everything we've heard, do return those phones within the first few months.
I'll have you meet with Tim in my IT. We'll figure this out.
All right, got a couple questions down here. Jan?
Yes, Microsoft changes things so often. And so when they change their programs, does that impact the price we're paying during those 3 years, or it only changes in 3 years?
It only changes in 3 years, except for there might be some minor a couple dollars here and there. We're not talking anything that's huge. They cannot change the rules on licensing, like saying, oh, we decided to license SQL Server differently in the middle of the contract. They're actually, we're held throughout that 3-year term, so they can't, make a drastic change. In the last contract, we actually saw them change the way that Microsoft Teams is licensed, where it's been bundled right now. And they stripped that out. And I was fearing that it would be stripped out of this enterprise contract, but we actually were able to be grandfathered into because of our last enterprise contract. So that is still bundled. The basic Teams, we still had to buy the expanded Teams license for the telephone system, but we do actually, just by even having the same contract year after year, still have some benefits. But you're right, every 3 years we have to learn. I have to relearn everything, and I've done this for many years.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Merrill?
Well, I have a plethora of questions, but I guess the first one that I wanted to ask is, does this represent a moving even more into the Microsoft universe and getting rid of and removing some third-party softwares?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you want to do that?
So So we have made a heavy investment in Microsoft technologies, and there are a lot of benefits. They're very expensive. We all know that.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to it. But we are able to, a good example, again, the telephone system is leverage the existing investment in our Microsoft backbone that we already have to be able to implement a phone system that uses the same tools for collaboration. And same with SharePoint. Everything kind of has the same look and feel. I can't say that in another 3 years that we wouldn't be open to looking at some other suite of solutions, but not seeing anything and looking at current trends right now that provides the same operability across an entire suite of products that this does.
And I'll just offer one piece of advice then on the people that need a desk phone. It's okay to put it there, just don't connect it to anything.
Thank you.
Okay, and it can be rotary, right? It can be rotary down. So, any other up and down the aisle here? Any other comments, questions?
You can keep the age comments.
Well, let's leave that right there. Okay, I think we're looking for, we see anything online? Councilmember Dunn, if there's any questions there? All right,
No questions. Thanks.
looking for a motion then.
All right, I move the Board of Directors authorize the CEO to negotiate and award the purchase of Microsoft Enterprise Software licenses using WADES contract number 14922 from Software House International for a not to exceed amount of $2,056,472.84, including tax, for a 3-year contract.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mayor Marine, and it was seconded where? Councilman Daughtry, Mayor Marine, maker of the motion. Anything you want to say about it? Any other comments, questions? Then? Okay, yes, go ahead.
My question on whether you're moving more into a Microsoft universe, I did do that at a place that I was at before, and it's actually ended up being a pretty good deal to be able to coordinate all of that stuff across there. So it wasn't a gotcha question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of approving authorizing the CEO to sign this contract 14-922, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any- Okay, it passes unanimously. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your help. We appreciate it. All right, on to Chair's report. Let me see, the April 17th quarterly board workshop is canceled. I've never known a time where an elected official complained much about taking a meeting off the calendar. So there wasn't enough there to schedule a workshop, and so that will be canceled. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for May 1st at 3 p.m. right here. And we have no executive session planned today. So on to board communications, and I'm just going to take them in the order of alphabetical order. And that would be starting with Councilmember Kim Daughtry.
So last month, I got some pamphlets from Deb Osborne, and I took them over for ZIP pamphlets. I took them over to the senior center in Lake Stevens, and I found out a few things.
Oh.
It's quite interesting, actually. ZIP Lake Stevens is taken off really, really well. The seniors love it, especially even the ones that have cars. That they go to the senior center, they want to play their games and do all that kind of stuff. They'd rather take ZIP than Rive. But they have found out that you do not take zip in Lake Stevens between 2:30 and 3:30 on a weekday because they're all at the high school. The kids, for an hour, the zip is not available because the kids have it all booked up. I've been working adjacent to the high school for the past month, and I see zip there at that time. They're just lined up, picking up kids. And then in the morning, when I get there at 7:30, they're coming in with the kids. So the seniors have figured out that you don't even try. Yeah, the kids have figured it out. The other thing that's interesting is that the seniors, where we might have thought that they were having difficulties with the app, actually teach each other how to do it. They sit there right in the senior center, so no, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You know, well, you need to download this app. You need to get going on this zip. This is the greatest thing. So I just wanted to share that with everybody on what's going on in Lake Stevens with the seniors and the seniors.
Very good. The seniors and the seniors. All righty. All right, Councilmember Megan Dunn, in the atmosphere here. You have any comments for us today? She's still here? Left. She might have left the meeting. Okay, Mayor Frisell.
I have no
Yep,
comments.
no comments
think-
today. Labor Representative Danny Julian, any comments for us today?
Thank you. Thanks for the welcome earlier today. I'm glad to be serving in this role. Also want to acknowledge, the ATU members who received recognition, including Risa Gamble. I worked really closely with her, and she is absolutely tireless in her advocacy and representation. So the fact that she was honored is very heartening for a lot of us. And in addition, I just want to acknowledge what Rick had mentioned earlier about the loss of our brother and friend Curtis Wright, and also honoring and recognizing Scott, who passed away from COVID. It was really important that we honored and recognized both of them in the way that we did, and ATU is extremely grateful to have been able to do that. These things are always really difficult, but coming together to honor them is also very important. So I was really happy about that. And finally, I wasn't aware that the ZIP drivers were going to be speaking today. And I know ZIP is a good program and a lot of people use it. And I just want to acknowledge that I heard what they said, and I recognize there are some safety concerns that they brought forward that I'm going to myself be looking into further. And with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Appreciate it so much. Mayor Marine.
Well, thank you. Actually, I was going to mention the fact that it couldn't be a one-off. It was more like a three-off. But when you have three of them having concerns with VIA, the contractor for the ZIP, and whether, we need looking into that, make sure that not only they feel safe, but also the fact that it should work, right? Otherwise, it's going to fall apart if it's not working for the drivers, and then that will affect the customers, not the high schoolers, because they get a ride for free, so they'll be fine. And then I just want to say thank you to Community Transit for continuing to use Rose Hill in the most magnificent municipality of Mukilteo. And it's just, I love that facility. It's gorgeous, and so thank you for utilizing that. And yeah. I will miss the work. No, I won't. But it's nice to have a day off, and if we do, just to come in to do one little thing, right? It's nice to save it up for a workshop to where we can have the work, and welcome spring and summer.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Tom Merrill.
A couple of things. I want to second the comments that were made about what we heard today from the VIA drivers. That was some concerning, and I hope we're doing some looking into those. Second thing was I had the opportunity twice in 2 weeks to be at the Rose Hill facility, and congratulations, Mukilteo is a beautiful venue. And then lastly, I wanted to thank Snohomish thank Community Transit for sponsoring the Snohomish Education Foundation. We were at breakfast this morning, and there was a shout out to Community Transit and their support for the program there. So thank you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Mayor Nearing.
Thank you. Yeah, congrats to all the great award winners. Just so many great employees here, and appreciate the work done. $2 million mile safe drive is that's really something. I thought $1 million was amazing, but and then yeah, it's just really appreciate the recognition also of Curtis and Scott in that tragic situations there. I'll third the VIA thing. When you see three individuals get up and raise some issues, obviously it sounds like we're gonna take a look into that. I think Mr. Baldwin is off now. I saw him on a minute ago, but I'm not certain that his issue is something we can directly assist with, but maybe the county auditor or something. I don't know if he emailed anything in, but I think he may be looking at a different or maybe find better answers there.
You want to make a comment?
We've been in touch with him, and Rachel's been sharing information and trying to help him navigate that space. It's unincorporated Snohomish County, so there might be a role for the county council.
Oh,
because
okay.
there's no municipality, but we're trying to suss that.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Dunn, we're going back to you. I think you went and got a soda pop or something.
Thank you. I actually had to testify in Olympia really quickly in the virtual world. So apologies for stepping out for a second. I did email with Mr. Baldwin and connect him with our auditor. And I share the concerns with wanting to find out more about the VIA transport. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Dunn. Councilmember Sweaty.
I'm good.
Okay, you're good for today. All right, we'll go to board alternates then. Let me see who we have online. We've got Councilmember Payne. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us today? And while she's looking for her mute button, Mayor Matsumoto Wright, you left us there. So Mayor Matsumoto Wright, do you have anything you'd like to share with us today?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, and don't think Councilmember Payne does. So Mike Gallagher, you're always here. Thank you for showing up faithfully and participating in the meetings. We really appreciate that. I think that's all of our alternates. And Susan Payne going once, twice, three times. Okay, is there any other further business for the good of the order today for our meeting today? Then I will adjourn the meeting at 4:38. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Nicely done.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I bet you guys want these. Rachel? Oh, you want these?